Okay, now, um, before I officially begin this video, I do feel that it is my duty to let you all know that in no way is this video meant to enshrine or rationalize or even go so far as to approve the use of nuclear atomic armaments whatsoever in any capacity at all, whether it be in defense, self defense, whatever it may be. I sincerely do not advocate for any of that at all. So please, when I make this video, it is to inform you of what the aftermath of using these devastating armaments is and how detrimental they are to the world order as we know it. Now, to begin with, let's talk about the difference between an atomic bomb and a nuclear bomb. So, these terms are often interchangeable, but they do refer to two different types of weapons. So, an atomic bomb is generally a nuclear weapon that uses fission, which is the splitting of atomic nuclei, to release a very, very large amount of energy. The very first atomic bomb that was used by the United States at the end of World War II to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which you'll see in the footage that I have playing, courtesy of BBC, uh, was powered by an element known as uranium 235, which is the more radioactive isotope of the uranium of the uranium element itself, and produced an explosion that was equivalent to about 20,000 tons of TNT. Now, obviously, that explosion is massive. On the other hand, however, a nuclear bomb is a little more general in its use. That you can use to refer to any sort of weapon that uses nuclear reactions to sort of release that energy, which includes both atomic and thermonuclear bombs. So when we talk about thermonuclear, we generally mean hydrogen bombs, which came about around 1952, 1953. So this was around the Cold War era when the Korean War was just about coming to an end. So nuclear bombs both use nuclear fusion to release even bigger amounts of energy. Thermonuclear bombs are much, much more powerful than atomic bombs. Just putting it out there. As I say in my disclaimer, I do not condone the use of any of these, nor in the past, nor in the future, nor for any other case possible. These thermonuclear bombs, that are more commonly known as hydrogen bombs, are much more powerful than the atomic bombs and can produce explosions that are equivalent to millions of tons of TNT. So, to put it really simply, all atomic bombs are nuclear bombs, but not all nuclear bombs are atomic. Let's talk proliferation. So, nuclear proliferation really became a big concern because of the destructive potential of nuclear weapons and the catastrophic consequences of using said nuclear weapons. Now, the detonation of these weapons releases enormous amounts of energy. I'm talking more than enough to power an entire city for days on end. But the way this is used causes devastating explosions, fires, and radiation spills that can kill large numbers of people and cause long-lasting damage to the environment that really spreads across generations. If we were to look at incidents like Chernobyl or even Hiroshima and Nagasaki as examples of this, even today the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki have not been able to escape that legacy of being the two cities to fall to the United States power, the nuclear power that was the United States at that point. They still haven't. They have, in fact, their DNA has evolved to make to kind of make up from the damage that the radiation has done to them. Then, when we look in the case of Chernobyl, the nuclear power station spill, just the suburbs of Chernobyl are only habitable at this point. But I digress. So, the amount of damage that this can cause makes nuclear weapons very different from conventional ones, in the sense that conventional weapons have a lot more limited destructive power and are less likely to cause major catastrophic consequences. One such example that we saw was in the Battle for Stalingrad, which was probably the bloodthirstiest conflict throughout World War II. The nuclear bomb is much, 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 much worse than that. In fact, so much worse that the Japanese have actually had to add new words to their own language to be able to describe what they saw or what was seen at Hiroshima and Nagasaki for years after the bombs went off, and it was safe to go around there. Now, the proliferation of nuclear weapons raises the risk of accidental or intentional use. So, the more countries that possess nuclear weapons, the greater the chance there is that they could be used in a conflict or fall into the hands of terrorist groups or other non-state actors who may use them to achieve their goals, which may be detrimental to the foreign policies of that state. This therefore creates that risk of catastrophic destruction and threatens global stability and security, which is why nuclear weapons are so heavily discussed throughout all forms of media. And it's become such a big concern that it's led to the creation of various international treaties, such as in 1963, we saw a partial test ban treaty come to life under President Kennedy. That later became known as the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which aims to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and promote disarmament throughout. Now, this treaty has been signed by almost every country in the world, save for a few other countries, such as Pakistan, the country where I am from. So, it's been signed in order to help limit the number of countries that possess nuclear weapons, and those who have not been party to that treaty, who have not signed said treaty, are generally for lack of a better word, they're more generally treated with a little more suspicion, kept a little more at arm's length. But in any case, the risk of nuclear proliferation is still very much a major global concern. In summation, we know what these weapons are capable of. We've seen what they can do. We've heard people talk about what they can do. Now it is up to us to kind of educate ourselves on what they're capable of, what they can do to other people, what their effect is on us, internationally and locally. So please, when I say this, I am not an advocate for these. As I said in my disclaimer very early on in the video, I am in no way an advocate for any use of nuclear warfare or warfare in general. If anything, I would advocate for this type of weaponry to be used in a matter of deterrence, to prevent any outside attacks, or to stave off outside attacks, specifically in a second strike capacity, which is what the strategic arms limitation talks were for. which is why they became an interim treaty for further limitation talks. Besides all that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a little bit more about the capabilities of these weapons, the sort of horrors, and the inherent sort of shock factor behind these weapons. So I hope you know a little bit more to be able to tell people about them and how you can go about educating other people. So to that end, I hope that you liked the video. If you do, please give it a like. Please leave comments on anything you want to be covered next. Any topics you'd like to cover for me to cover in future videos. Anything that you'd like to maybe get a little bit more detail on. I have a few more shorts planned that I will be uploading soon. Besides all that, please leave a like. Please share the video with your friends and your family. Please subscribe to the channel as well. That really helps a lot. Please, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.